Hello, 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 hello. How is everyone doing? I'm not feeling the best, so excuse my sweater and my cinnamon roll bun. My hair is way too long to have down. Like, my hair is like to my mid-thighs, and so the only way to put my hair up in a bun is to spin it up into a cinnamon roll. So, that's our vibe today. I hope that you guys are feeling well. Hello Max, Greg, TJ, Slim, the fairy. How is it going, guys? I'm so excited to talk to you guys again, and we have a really interesting topic that I think will help a lot of people. On top of talking about the reasons why you're not lucid dreaming, I'll also be taking questions. Now, sometimes we can get a bit of questions, so I'm going to take as many as possible. There will be times where I will break and ask you guys if you have any questions, and then the questions that I see I will go through. Again, I'll answer as many questions as I can, and this doesn't necessarily have to be just lucid dream. I mean, we want to keep it kind of based around lucid dreaming, but if you have questions about my practices or anything that I do or anything like that, that can kind of help you make more sense of the things we're going to talk about, definitely let me know. Hello guys, let me know that you are here. Drop me a hello in the chat so I can say hi to you. Palma, how are you? How are you? So I might need a supplement to help lucid dreaming. So you actually don't need any supplements to actually lucid dream. They're kind of like dream herbs and dream technology that is aimed toward lucid dreaming. They help you expand on your practice. They don't necessarily make the practice. So if you're just relying on supplements alone, you'll probably have more clear dreams if you're writing your dreams down. See, it all depends on your practice. You might have more vivid dreams, and you might have maybe a little bit more awareness in your dreams, but supplements are much more effective if you already have a practice, because again, lucid dreaming comes down to awareness, being able to become aware of the fact that you are dreaming. So that's something that I recommend for sure, building up, and we'll talk about that as well. And you'll notice if you already are building up a dream practice without relying on any supplements or tools, you're going to have a lot more positive results if you implement supplements and tools and herbs when you're already creating a stable foundation for your dream practice. So what we're going to be talking about on this list, and I did slightly mention it in my last Lucid Dream Challenge, if you guys watched that video. I think it was called like reassessment or reevaluation or something like that, and this is what it's about. It's assessing and evaluating what we're doing in our practice and what we're not doing, and the gap between where we are and the practice that we want to have. So when you have a dream practice, it's always recommended that you go back and reassess your practice, what things are working, what things are not, what things have you not tried yet, and kind of tweaking it that way. It's going to be slightly different for everybody, but this is a natural part of our biology. It is possible, it is a skill that we can build, and there is a certain kind of layout or foundation that we can create to get better results in our practice. So, Kalia, 𝒔𝒕𝒊𝒄𝒔 didn't do much. Does it need to build up? So a lot of the herbs that you will try, you will need to take them for an extended amount of time. Same with like African dream root and herbs like that. You want to take maybe for around 30 days or so and just experiment, just see how your body responds, how your dreams respond, and go from there. But if you're going to use herbs, I definitely recommend giving them a fair chance, especially to kind of get in your system properly and be able to create some sort of consistent difference. And in order to see some of the effects from these herbs, it is recommended that you kind of play around with them for an extended amount of time. Hello, George. How are you guys? So first, before we get into this, I just want to see how you guys are liking the sleep music channel. For those of you who don't know, I created a brand new channel for meditation sleep music, the black screen sleep music that I was doing on this channel. There are some nature ambiences on there. I'm starting to post more of the black screen sleep music, as that's what I like the best, and it seems like that's what you guys like the best as well. So if you do want to check that out, I do have the channel linked at the bottom of my main channel, this channel, and I would love to hear what you guys think about that. So when it comes to the meditation music on this channel, I will be starting to post about 1 track a week, and on that channel I'm going to be posting close to daily tracks. So definitely check that out. Let me know what you like, what you want to see, which tracks you like, and I'll try to create more like that. The next thing that I want to mention is we do have a class in 3 days. It's called Dreams of Manifestation. It is, I think, the 9th class in the series, either the 9th or 10th class in the series, and we're going to be covering tons of practices for reality shifting, reality transurfing, subconscious programming, and some dream practices that we can use as well to change our internal environment to reflect in our external environment. So these are a lot of teachings from Napoleon Hill, Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy, Earl Nightingale, lots of teachings from some of the wealthiest minds. We're going to be breaking that down in this class, and then I'm also going to be tying in how to actually use this information and these teachings in your dreams. If you are interested in that class, you get lifetime access to it along with the written text / guide of the class that I'll be guiding you guys with, and that investment for that class is just $55. Again, if you're interested in the entire 11-part masterclass series, then that is $333, but again, you can also just enroll in individual classes if you would like to do that. Just send me a message or an email at contact.thelucidmystic@gmail.com if you are interested in some of these classes. So, I find I have more intense dreams if I take a lot of melatonin. Melatonin can disrupt our sleeping cycle because we produce natural melatonin, and so when we have extra melatonin in the body, especially in so much melatonin in a condensed supplement, then that could actually throw off our sleeping cycle. Melatonin doesn't actually induce restful sleep, it just regulates our sleeping cycle. So you may notice that melatonin works sometimes, and maybe you notice that it doesn't work other times, and that could be because it's throwing your sleep cycle off. So if you guys notice that melatonin isn't working for you, instead of just trying to keep upping the dose, you can always try valerian root, which is something I recommend to my clients and is something that I love to use as well. Or you can work on producing natural melatonin. And the serotonin we have in our body actually is converted to melatonin at night. And if you sleep in a dark environment, if you go on a walk at sunset, if you kind of quiet down your mind before bed and you don't have, you're not using a lot of bright lights and technology, that can also produce natural melatonin as well that shouldn't affect your sleep cycle. It should actually regulate it and help you get to sleep and stay asleep, get to sleep faster and actually have more deep, restful sleep. Yeah. By doing it that way. Too much melatonin has me super groggy when waking up. Yeah, I would definitely try valerian root if that is the case. That's what I use. Yeah. TJ, yeah, if you haven't tried valerian root, I'd love to hear what you think about it. I believe I have an affiliate link for that in the description, but you can also just find it on Amazon. I think I get the Now brand. It's literally just NOW. What's your thoughts on astral projection though? So these practices are very similar, but there are some differences. Number one, lucid dreaming and dreaming happens in REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement. This occurs every 90 minutes of sleep, and our REM stages get longer as the night progresses. The first half of our sleeping cycle is primarily deep sleep, and the last half of our sleeping cycle is primarily REM sleep. So that's where dreams and lucid dreams happen, is in our REM sleep. Yes, you can ask a question here. And as far as an out-of-body experience, we can actually astral project in any state of consciousness, even full wakefulness. We do not have to be in REM sleep. And with lucid dreaming, it's kind of our consciousness traveling inside of itself. It's our awareness traveling within our consciousness. But with out-of-body experiences, it's our consciousness traveling outside of ourself. But they can be induced in similar ways due to the mind awake, body asleep method, which is where we kind of put the body to sleep gradually, but we keep the mind aware, and that's a great way to induce either a lucid dream or an out-of-body experience. So that is kind of the main differences. How long have you been practicing lucid dreaming? I probably had my first lucid dream when I was probably 7 or 8, and of course they started in the form of nightmares. They would be nightmares where I was trying to wake myself up, and so if you've ever had an experience like that, that does classify as a lucid dream because of the awareness of the fact that you are dreaming. And if you had reoccurring nightmares, eventually, for a lot of us, we'd be able to recognize, oh, I'm having this nightmare again, let me try to wake myself up. The awareness started to become natural that you were dreaming, and so a lot of people's lucid dreams start that way. So yeah, my first lucid dream, I don't know the exact year, but I was probably between 7 and 8 years old. And then when I was about 12 or 13, I started to take it seriously, and that's kind of where we are now. I had a lot of anxiety and depression, and I had a lot of digestive issues because of my worry and anxiety that I experienced, and that kind of led me to exploring an alternative through consciousness to see if I could work on that. And of course, at that time, there was no information online. Like, YouTube was just barely becoming a thing when I was like, I don't know, maybe 12 or 11 or 12, I'm not even sure. But there wasn't hardly any information on this throughout my entire childhood and kind of teenage years when I was practicing this. So it was kind of a lot of trial and error. As soon as I wanted to try to find an alternative because the medications I was taking wasn't working, the doctors were kind of having to turn around with me. I was constantly being referred to other places, and so I decided to kind of explore a different way. And as soon as I made the intention to, you know, there has to be another way, there has to be some way that I can deal with this anxiety or this physical pain, I started having random lucid dreams again, and that's kind of what led me into where I am now, as I thought it was kind of some form of consciousness kind of answering my question and providing a modality for me to explore that. Does lucid dreaming affect the quality of sleep? You can actually cure insomnia through lucid dreaming, and it can actually regulate your sleep cycle, because when it comes to lucid dreaming, it does take a pretty stable sleep cycle to be able to do it. Not necessarily. There are people who have insomnia that do lucid dream, and they actually make great lucid dreamers, but if they keep continuously practicing lucid dreaming, you can reverse insomnia, not only from within the lucid dream, but also because it kind of encourages you to kind of correct your sleeping cycle, kind of wind yourself down before bed, wake up more mindfully, yeah, stuff like that. I had horrible insomnia. I was probably sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night when I was about 12 or 13, and this was able to really help me correct that, and now I can sleep for 10 to 12 hours if I really wanted to. And sometimes I do. You know, the more you sleep, the more you'll be able to dream and lucid dream. So even getting an extra, I think like 1 to 2 hours of sleep a day can double your chances in lucid dreaming. So it's all about capitalizing on the opportunities that we have to get lucid. So yeah, regarding the hacks, we're going to go through a checklist of things that I recommend implementing into your lucid dream practice. I definitely recommend kind of listening to this list and really asking yourself if these are things you're consistently doing, if these are things that you have tried, or if it's something that you would be open to experimenting with. And these are very simple, kind of easy to implement things. This is everything I've learned over the years of kind of what makes a healthy dream practice and lucid dream practice, of course. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and dive in. So yeah, I would love to hear you guys think about this and kind of what things maybe you haven't tried as far as your practice. So a lot of people, they want to start dreaming and lucid dreaming, but they're not exactly sure why they want to do it. And with any goal in life, we have to have a definite aim of why it's important to us, what we're going to do when we have that experience. If we don't have a why, you may notice that you get lucid and you have no idea what to do. You get lucid and all of a sudden anything is possible, and we can take too much time to try to think about what we want to do, what questions we want to ask, where we want to go, and we can actually end up waking up. So getting very clear on your why you want to dream, why you want to lucid dream, what that would add to your own personal life will kind of be the momentum behind your practice and why you're doing what you're doing. It's as an extension on your why, I also recommend having a dream planning notebook. Now, we've all heard of a dream journal. And please, I hope that all of you are writing down your dreams. That is definitely the first thing that I recommend to everybody watching this, is to write down your dreams. Writing down your dreams shows your brain that remembering your dreams is a priority. Now, everybody dreams. There's going to be some people that think they don't dream, but everybody dreams. But dream recall is a skill that we build. And one of your brain's jobs is to be efficient, right? And there's only a certain amount of space in the conscious mind. So anything that's in the conscious mind, your brain has to see it as something that is useful to you. So if you're someone that wakes out of bed really quickly, you maybe think that you don't have time to write down your dreams, your brain is going to not see dream recall as a priority because it wouldn't be efficient to save that information and bring it to the conscious mind if it wasn't going to be used. But we can correct this pretty quickly. All you need to do is get your dream journal, and before you go to bed, the last couple minutes of wakefulness is when our subconscious mind starts to open. You may notice you're falling asleep, and all of a sudden you're maybe trying to concentrate on something even, but now all of a sudden you're getting distracted, you're having random thoughts come in, you're like not making any sense in your head, and that's because your conscious mind is slowly shutting down, getting prepared for sleep, and your subconscious mind is opening. So this is the best time to implement suggestions, feelings, affirmations, intentions, things like that. So when you're falling asleep, if you're still working on remembering your dreams, I recommend affirming that you have good recall. My favorite one is, tonight I'll remember my dreams. I have excellent dream recall. And I repeat that a few times before bed, and most of the time I will have a dream that night, even after a dry spell. So in addition to affirming that you have good recall and that you will remember your dreams upon going to bed, as soon as you wake up in the morning, you want to think about your dreams. So here's sleep, here is before sleep, and here is once you wake up. You want both of these brackets to somehow be related to dreams. So affirming that you're going to remember your dreams, or affirming what you want to dream about, or, you know, revisiting your plan for your next dream, whatever it is. And then as soon as you wake up, you want to ask yourself, did I remember any dreams last night? What did I dream of? Do I remember who I was with, where I was, what I was thinking, what I was feeling? Is there anything prominent or something that stands out as far as what I dreamt about? And you want to write down the date and the time and anything that you remember. If you are remembering your dreams, I definitely recommend giving them kind of a title, like a movie title, because you will be going through your dream journal occasionally, and you will want to find specific dreams, and so having them titled is a very easy way to do that. Pretty much to title your dream, you just want to ask, if I had to sum up this dream, what would the title be? It's like a book title or a movie title. And that way you can kind of go through your dreams quickly and find the ones you need. I also put a star next to the dreams that I got lucid in. So if I ever need to go back and find a lucid dream, I can just look at my starred entries and find them a lot easier. Now we've also talked about dream signs. These are things that reappear in your dreams consistently. I've been dreaming of being at court with Johnny Depp. So, because I've been seeing that everywhere. So that is a dream sign, because Johnny Depp, unfortunately, is not a part of my waking reality. And I've never even been to court. So that's obviously a sign that I'm dreaming as well. So when it comes to dream signs, you want to underline everything that is a dream sign. That way, if you need to go back and look at what you've been dreaming of the most throughout the week, you can easily look at what is underlined, or you can highlight them if that works as well. So yeah, naming dream is definitely very helpful. I'm new here. Are there any kinds of practices that I can do to increase my critical thinking ability and awareness? Yes, we're going to get into that, but basically you want to adopt the mindset that you could be dreaming at any time, because the reason we don't always lucid dream is because we're so used to assuming that we are awake, and the habits that we have in waking life carry over into our dreams. So if we live and we always assume that we're awake, we're going to dream in that same assumption that we are probably awake, which discourages us from checking if we're dreaming. So how you want to dream, you need to start living that way. If you want to be more critical in your dreams, if you want to be more aware, if you want to realize when something is off or strange, then you need to start doing that in waking life. So it's adapting the dreaming version of you into this reality and kind of blending the two worlds together. So as far as a dream planning journal, again, you have your dream journal and your dream planning journal. This is going to be where you plan out the next dreams you want to have, what you're going to do next time you get lucid, anything that you want to have as far as an experience when you're dreaming. I did make a short about this not too long ago, and I did show you guys one of my entries during that short. And that's pretty much what you want to do. I have a 3-step system when it comes to dream planning. First, you want to write out exactly what you're going to do when you get lucid, for example. As soon as I get lucid, I'm going to stabilize the environment, and then I'm going to call out to the sky to manifest this, or I'm going to find this person by doing this. Whatever it is, you want to create a very detailed plan of that dream. You want to draw a picture of it because it helps your brain when it can tie a picture with actual words. This is the same for a vision board, by the way. If you want your vision boards to be more effective as far as influencing the subconscious mind, have a word of what it actually is and a picture of what it is on your vision board. But it's basically the same concept. So after you draw out the dream that you want to have, you want to write what your sankalpa is, or your mantra. This is basically what you're going to repeat in the dream to make that thing happen. And that is really the 3-step process that I use. Of course, you can change it, you can play around with it, but that's kind of what I do. You don't have to have a dream plan every single night. Usually with a dream plan, you want it to be something that is important to you, because you're going to kind of review your dream plan every night is what I recommend, until you complete that dream plan, and then you can create a new one. That way you're really knocking off your goals. You always go into the dream world with an intention, and you always have a specific focus when you're falling asleep. And what we think about, or what we intend before we fall asleep, is a lot of the time what actually influences our dreams, which is why you want to dream plan before bed and then dream journal when you wake up. So again, you're kind of surrounding your brackets of sleep with something dream related. Can you just look at a picture of what you want? Totally. Yeah, try it out and see what works best. You can absolutely do that for sure. So that is kind of why it's important to have your why. So really think about what you would use this practice for. For me, my first why was to figure out how to gain my life back. My life was literally stripped from me because of my digestive issues. I couldn't go anywhere, I couldn't hang out with friends, I couldn't even leave the house, I couldn't keep a job because the pain was so bad. I was even on like FMLA from work because I could hardly work at all. So that was my biggest why when I first started dreaming. And then once I accomplished that and was able to really work on my digestive issues, then my why turned into exploring the potential within this state and how far we can take it. So that kind of opened me up to a bigger reason to practice this. And of course, that why led to, I want to help other people who are struggling, or I want to show other people the power of their consciousness, or I want other people to see the potential of dreams that's available to them every single night. So once you have your why, and you really dive into that, it starts to create more depth, and you start to gain more reasons to practice this. So you just really want to get clear on your why. If someone asks you, why do you want to lucid dream, or why do you lucid dream, you want to be able to, you want it to be something that's at the forefront of your mind. You don't want to have to think, why do I want to dream? Because again, it's all down to importance to the brain. If the brain doesn't think that this practice is important to you, it's going to be a lot harder to achieve this practice. So you really want to come at it with a specific mindset. So definitely have your why in place. Again, use your dream journal every single morning right after you wake up. This is essential if you want to expand in your dream practice. There are some people that say, well, I don't need to write down my dreams. I remember my dreams. Yes, you may remember, portions of your dreams, but they'll become a lot more vivid and crisp and clear if you do write down your dreams every single morning. And you're probably not going to remember every single dream that you have, every dream sign that showed up, the dates of when you had those dreams, if you got lucid or not. We use our dream journal for a lot more than just writing down our dreams. We don't set it and forget it. It's a huge tool in our practice, and it shows us a lot about what's going on in the subconscious mind. What am I dreaming about, and what do I need to create awareness around in order to get lucid? Your dream journal holds all of that information. So I definitely recommend using it every single day. And then I review my dream journal at the end of the week. Sometimes I'll read through it like a book because I think it's really fun and it makes me laugh to look at the past dreams that I might have forgotten about. But also it shows me what my biggest dream signs are my week, where my conscious mind is within the dream state, and you can use that to build triggers to get lucid. So pretty much a trigger is something that reminds you to check if you're dreaming. So if I, for example, my biggest dream sign is that I'm in school. No matter where I am in my dreams, there's always usually a school present, or I'm in a school, I'm in an art class, I'm teaching, or I'm like trying to find my locker and all my classes. Whatever it is, it's related to school most of the time. So that's my biggest dream sign. So if I had this as a dream trigger, anytime I saw a school in waking life, I would have to ask myself if I'm dreaming. Building up that habit will allow me to ask myself if I'm dreaming when I actually dream of a school. So that is what I recommend there. Yeah, Eric, are you still taking the dream route? Are you still taking that? I would love to hear about I would love to hear about how that's going. I need to blend up some more of that. The next thing is to build your dream recall by practicing morning recall techniques and nightly affirmations. We kind of talked about that. You don't want to just in the morning, oh, I didn't remember any dreams, let me just not write anything down. You always want to write something down, even if it is, I didn't remember any dreams tonight, or I remember dreaming but I don't remember the details, or I remember Johnny Depp was there but I don't remember what we were doing. Like, any of that is fine. And if you don't remember anything, then maybe you would write, I remember getting up at 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom, or I remember tossing and turning last night, I kind of had a hard time sleeping. Whatever it is, you can even write NR, like no recall, if you really want to summarize it. But the biggest thing is to write in your dream journal every single morning, and to have some sort of something to focus your mind on when you're falling asleep. Whether it is kind of being in the state of consciousness of having something you desire in waking life, like inducing those feelings as if you have it. That's a teaching from Neville Goddard that I love to do. It could definitely just be dream related, something you want to dream about, an intention, something you want to carry into your sleep. And you can also do the mile technique before bed as well. So just making sure that as best to your ability, that there's some sort of dream related information on both brackets of your sleep. And again, dream signs, you want to look for those consistently in your journal, because they will change depending on what you're experiencing in waking life. If your life is pretty the same every single day, you'll probably have similar dream signs, but it's going to be different to everybody. So I would just recommend exploring what is showing up in your dreams. And that also shows you kind of like where your worries are, if there's anything kind of oversaturating your mind, and it's a really good guide to how to do your reality checks in waking life. A lot of people have so many questions about reality checks or when to do them, but it's important to study your dream content, and that will guide you into where you need to do your reality checks and when and how. So it's very individual. You know, there's an outline of the best practices to do, but I definitely recommend exploring a little bit more and getting curious in your own dreams. A lot of people want to lucid dream, but they don't want a dream journal. They don't want to look through their dream recall, and all you're doing is showing your brain that it's not a big enough priority to invest time into it. And because one of your brain's jobs is to be efficient, if it doesn't think something's important to you, then again, you're probably going to have a lot more struggle with inducing these experiences, especially spontaneously. One thing that I love to talk to you guys about is how to create a consistent lucid dream practice that becomes effortless. I talk about techniques, you know, every once in a while, and if there's any technique you guys want to see, I do a video on it, I talk about it, but you don't need techniques to have lucid dreams. These techniques are mostly used, as you can see, to induce a lucid dream at will, like right then and there. But the technique, or the habits that I teach, is to cultivate a habit of lucidity and awareness so that you can have consistent lucid dreams habitually without having to try for each one or interrupting your sleep cycle. That's not something that I'm super interested doing myself in my practice, like waking myself up every single night at like 4 in the morning, even though I had years of doing that. Years of doing that. Every single morning I would wake myself up at the same time, I'd go through the same process, I'd explore different techniques and tools, so I definitely know how they work. They can absolutely be effective, but it's more effective if you build up the habitual awareness and kind of let the practice work for you. That's how I like to talk about it, because I think it's more efficient that way. And then since you've already had the awareness built up and all of that, then, you know, if you have a day off or something, then you could totally do a technique then, and you've already created the habitual awareness, so it'll be a lot easier to carry that into your technique. I've always had trouble with reality checks. What's your biggest struggle with reality checks, Greg? Is it just remembering to do them? Is it like really getting in the mindset of doing it? Because sometimes with reality checks, we can feel like we're faking it. Like when we're supposed to ask, oh, could I be dreaming right now? A lot of us have a hard time at really actually getting curious. You kind of just feel like you're faking it a little bit sometimes, because you assume that you're awake. Your conscious mind tries to tell you, no, that's ridiculous, we're awake. But if the conscious mind was always right about that, then how come we aren't getting lucid in our dreams? So we shouldn't necessarily take what the conscious mind says as fact, because it's not necessarily fact, or else we would be lucid dreaming more than we actually are. So Greg, I would look at your biggest dream signs. That's going to show you where you need to do reality checks the most. I would look at what's showing up in your dreams, and also observe you in your dreams. How are you responding to the situations, and what level of lucidity are you at? Are you in a pre-lucid state where you do realize something's off and you do question a little bit, but you don't get lucid? Are you just completely non-lucid and kind of just going along with the whole dream story regardless of what's happening? Is there certain things that show up that kind of create that questioning in your dreams? You really want to observe what is happening in your dreams, like what is coming up, and also how you're responding to them. And that will kind of help you tweak that. Again, like what happens in our dreams, it's showing us how we can improve in waking life. If you notice that you're dreaming of your dream signs, you know, like for a school, for example, you're dreaming that you're in school, but for some reason you never realize it, it's because you need more critical questioning and awareness around schools in waking life. And if you don't pass a school every single day, I would look up pictures of a school and do a reality check then. You're training your brain, when I see this image, I check if I'm dreaming. So there are ways to build that up in waking life, even if it's something that you don't necessarily see a lot in your personal life. You can definitely look up like a picture of it, for example, and train yourself, okay, this is when we do reality checks, and, you know, do that throughout the day. As well as Greg, as well as looking through your dream signs and creating triggers around that, I would definitely set some sort of alarm to remind you to get more aware. So that could be like every hour and a half, whatever it is. But as far as I would check your dream signs. I would observe how you're acting in the dreams, set up the lucidity triggers, and then also set up some sort of like alarm for that. Let me see. Okay. Have you made a video on the negative, for lack of a better word, about lucid dreams? Yeah, I have actually talked about that. So I should make a newer video on that. I did talk about like intimacy in lucid dreams, and I have to say that because YouTube, they're very, very picky with what words I can like actually use with you guys. But yes, we've talked about like intimate lucid dreams and how those can kind of wake us up and create like abrupt lucid dreams, and kind of the negative effects that has on our practice, but also the negative effects that we may experience with how we handle things within the dream. For example, dream characters. People think that they can just treat dream characters however they want and, you know, attack them or whatever, but you got to remember those are all aspects within you. You're just attempting to attack parts of yourself. I had someone that I knew who said, yeah, I get lucid all the time. I just pull out and bang, 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 bang to all my dream characters. I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, because every single dream character within our dream is an archetype within us. It represents our inner fear, our anxiety, our creativity, and showing that level of hostility within the dream, the subconscious mind isn't really going to give you much profound information, because again, it all depends on your purpose of going in. If your purpose is to dominate and control the dream, then you're going to be locked off to certain parts within your lucid dream. You may notice that you wanted to find a loved one who's passed away, or you wanted to explore something within your dream, but you may run into a sign that says like it's blocked off or the door's locked or something. The subconscious mind has a very symbolic way of telling us when we're not ready to experience something or explore something. And so I think the way we have to come about it, we have to be playful, we have to be curious, and we have to see everything within the dream state as an aspect of us, an extension of us, because that's how it is in waking reality. I think the dream state can really show us a better way of how we should show up in waking life. But I will be making a new video on that, TJ, because I haven't talked about that for a long time, and I think the video is called like Violence in the Lucid Dream or something. It's been a long time since I've talked about it, so yeah, I'll have to make a new video on that because that is extremely important. I've also made a video where I titled like what not to do within lucid dreams, and I know I did mention that as well. So yeah, I'll have to touch on that again. Yeah, I definitely agree it's very important to discuss. Have you ever astral projected to a friend's house? So I haven't necessarily astral projected to a friend's house. I've astral projected to like my mom's house before. I've ran out-of-body experience kind of tests in my apartment with my boyfriend. He'll put out like certain colors of candy wrappers or whatever, and I will go into my room and attempt to induce an out-of-body experience and try to tell him what candies were out, what colors they were, how many of them. Like, I run a lot of those little experiments, and also with some friends as well. We will run experiments with each other, but I've never ended up at a friend's house necessarily an out-of-body experience because usually it's kind of like how I am with lucid dreaming. I'm kind of very curious about how far I can take the experience, who I can talk to, and just kind of testing the overall environment. So a lot of the time I will be in my house, I will be just like outside somewhere, or I'll be like seeing how far I can actually go. But I have met up with friends, you know, in the out-of-body state. Like one or two have actually recalled the experience. One was a for sure shared experience with my friend, and the other two, it was almost like they had a faint dream of me, or if I didn't even talk to them, and I had an experience where I felt like their consciousness was present, I have had someone message me and say, hey, I've thought about you recently, I want to see how you're doing. And we didn't talk for like 4 or 5 months before that. So I've had little glimpses, you know, with friends, but most of the time I'm on like my own journey, or I'm running my own experiences. I have attempted to go to the moon. I did not actually make it. Well, it was an out-of-body experience, so you're saying dreams. So I have went to the moon in my dreams, but as far as an out-of-body experience, it was a very long, cold flight, very empty. It was very realistic to what I feel like it would be like to try to travel to the moon. So I haven't made it to the moon in my out-of-body experiences, but in my dreams, in my lucid dreams, I definitely have. I dreamed today that I had a rhodonite crystal and it broke in my hands, and I woke up and I was scrolling through Instagram and saw a post of rhodonite being a stone of positivity. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So a lot of the time, yeah, you can look up certain symbols for like, you know, I don't recommend ever using like a dream dictionary, guys, because your subconscious is speaking to you directly, and it will use the meaning that you've given certain things based off of your perception. But with certain like animal totems and certain stones and colors, you can totally look up the underlying meaning or symbol within those things and kind of use that to piece together parts of your dream. I would dive into that more, Oscar. I would also look into the emotion, the feeling that you had within that dream, and maybe it could be representing maybe where you're giving away some of your positivity, or maybe how you've kind of felt more burnt out in certain areas of your life. Again, this is just my perspective. I would absolutely look into the emotion in the dream, because the emotion that we have in our dream, guys, is really going to lead us to what the underlying message is. Okay, what kind of success rate have you had in your experiments? Pretty good, very interesting. Pretty good most of the time. I mean, sometimes within an out-of-body experience, it kind of shifts like to a dream, like a lucid dream. You know, it's a very trippy experience to be out of body and then snap back into a dream world and then out of body. But I've left my house and I've, you know, read license plates on the side of the road, and that was correct. Most of the time, probably like 60 to 70% of the time with the candy wrappers, that has been correct. And then I also test the environment by seeing how well I can read, like the books in my environment, because within a dream state, they can be very jumbled around and kind of hard to read, but in an out-of-body experience, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear most of the time. Okay, 1 second. Okay. How are you supposed to take 𝒂𝒊𝒂𝒔𝒂𝒔? There's many different ways to take it. I know a lot of people will either steep it in a tea or smoke it. Traditionally, I believe that it was smoked. I like to smoke my herbs a lot of the time. I usually have them in like a dream tea or smoke them. So it really depends kind of what you're most comfortable with. But I feel like most of the time it's been either through a supplement, through tea, or through just loading it up in a pipe or something like that. I've had a dream twice about a significant person I haven't met in this life. Do you think it is possible to live in that reality for years if I get lucid? So time definitely kind of collapses and changes within the dream state. When you actually get lucid, it is pretty close to real time, which is how they were actually able to prove that lucid dreaming existed, by giving almost a certain like Morse code with the eyes. And because time is so similar within the lucid dream, they were able to run a lot of experiments to kind of prove that there is conscious awareness within the dream state. As far as, you know, regular dreams, we can see how time can be totally collapsed. We can feel like we were in the dream for years and years and years, and maybe it'd only be, you know, a few minutes. But with that, I definitely believe that that person could be an aspect of your own, you know, psyche or archetype, or maybe there is someone that is connected to you out there that you haven't met yet, and that's kind of their emotional kind of energy playing out within the dream, right? So if we dream of someone that we are going to be with forever or something, they may not necessarily look like that at all, but I feel like the feelings that we have within our dream kind of leads us to specific people, to specific certain circumstances. So if you have a dream of someone that you haven't met, that you feel like you're in love with, right, and you dream of them consistently, I wouldn't so focus on what they look like or anything. I would focus on the feeling that they give you. And every dream, I feel like there's a very strong feeling. You know, it's very hard to explain. Certain people in your dreams that you meet, like, it's just this like mysterious, like powerful energy, like such a feeling. I don't know how to describe the emotional states and like the vibes of like the dream, but there's certain people and certain places within dream states that have this very specific energy. And so if you are ever having, you know, a dream about someone that you haven't met yet, definitely pay attention to the feeling that you have, because I feel like you'd recognize people that kind of create that same emotional state or energy within you, and you can recognize familiarity through that. This is just a plain old choker. Sometimes I put stones on it. I make my own chokers as well. I have such long hair as well that sometimes necklaces can also get like tangled and stuff. And so sometimes a lot of the time I actually have this on now. And sometimes I'll hook little stones from it and stuff, and I just like it. There's no significant meaning really. I just like it. I was able to fly while I was lucid, and I saw something I was not supposed to see and haven't been able to fly since. So I would definitely dive into that. There's some sort of maybe avoidance or something with that situation that caused maybe like some sort of discomfort emotionally, mentally. So I would try to induce that experience, not the flying experience, but what created that discomfort for you. And this is the same with nightmares and the shadow. If we have a nightmare that we don't want to see, we don't want to keep running away because that's what causes it to reappear. We want to face it and be like, okay, what is this trying to show me? Why did this create such a strong emotional reaction? And what is the lesson behind this, or what am I supposed to learn? And this is also how you'll be able to completely dissolve nightmares, by not running away, just being like, okay, subconscious, I see you, I'm listening. How can I how can I hold space for what you're trying to show me? Because everything is happening for us in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind it's meant to help you resolve issues. It is truly on your side, and you'll see that within your dreaming experiences. And that's why some experiences can be so healing, and that's why we can resolve trauma that we've had for years and years and years. It's because now that we're finally listening within our lucid dreams, there's so much that is the subconscious is ready to unpack, and we can do that consciously through our dreaming experiences. So if you ever have anything that happens that's really uncomfortable, I know it can feel uncomfortable, but I recommend getting curious and diving into that a little bit more. And that's kind of one of the things I talk about in my dream series. We're touching on nightmares after this class, so June 5th. And then I also did a class on the shadow and like shadow work within the dream state. And it's all about getting curious. It's all about opening up a dialogue and a conversation with these parts of ourselves that we tend to reject or deny or disown. So yeah, I would just, TJ, it's totally fine. It's just guiding you towards something. So I would definitely take time to kind of look at what the subconscious mind is trying to show you, because once it knows that we're listening, it's like, you're finally listening. Okay, we got tons of stuff that you've been suppressing for years and years and years that maybe was subconscious, but all right, bring them in. We're ready to heal and resolve all this. So yeah, if you experience anything that kind of drives a high emotion, or there's medicine in it for you if that's the case. Okay, so aside from dream signs, you want to create lucidity triggers around your dream signs, so you do a reality check anytime they appear in your awareness or waking life and dreams. So let's talk about reality checks for a second. So the purpose of a reality check is to create a habit so you can carry that habit within your dreams. So there's two parts to a reality check. There is the mental reality check, which is the actual asking questions part, and then there is a physical check where you actually test it out in your physical reality. The point of the mental reality checks is so you can get in the habit of being curious, critical, and aware of what's going on. And if you create a habit of asking yourself these specific questions, then that will eventually show up in your dreams. Sometimes that's not enough though, because the brain, it's such a powerful experience within the lucid dream. Or in the dream state, it's such a realistic experience that the brain has a hard time assuming it's actually a dream. It thinks it's real. And so we have to use our physical environment to kind of prove to our brain, see, we are dreaming, or else I wouldn't be able to do this. That's kind of the point to physical checks. So mental checks, the questioning, that's to create a subconscious habit of critical awareness that shows up in the dream. And the physical checks are to kind of prove to your brain that it is a dream, because sometimes your brain will try to talk you out of it. And we tie these together when we do our checks. I recommend doing at least 10 reality checks a day if you want to create a consistent habit. And so at first, I used this app called Awoken, and I'm pretty sure I still have it. Yeah. I don't know if you can see that little purple sign there. That's kind of what it looks like. I think it's only on Android or something, but it's called Awoken. If you want, you can write your dreams down in there. You can set times for your clock to go off. You can note your dream signs in there. It's an app created for lucid dreaming. And I never wrote my dream journal in there. I like to have a physical journal so they're safe. I can go through and read them. And I'm not a big ebook type of person. I love my physical books. I like to go through them and highlight things and just have that physical book. So that's how I write my dreams down. I only used it for the reminders, and pretty much I had it set to every hour I'd get a notification on my phone that said, "Are you dreaming right now?" And of course that would prompt me to ask, well, how do I know that I'm not dreaming right now? And that's when I would ask myself specific questions to determine what reality I am in. And then I also check my physical environment as well to prove to my brain and to just basically make sure that I am awake and I am not asleep. So you can get an app like that. I think there's one for iPhone called Lucidity. I've never used it because I don't have an iPhone, but I heard that one works well and is similar to the Awoken app. You don't even need an app. You can set an alarm on your phone to go off, every hour or so. I have little sticky notes that say check if you're dreaming. How do you know you're awake right now? Sometimes I'll write on my mirror in the bathroom. I have a bracelet that says, are you dreaming? So anytime I see any of these things, I'm prompted to ask myself if I could be dreaming. but also to physically check my environment. Now, why do we physically check our environment? We talked about how it can kind of prove to the brain that we are either awake or dreaming, but also it's because of how the reality responds, how the physical reality is different than the dream reality when it comes to responding to a reality check. So I'm sure a lot of you maybe have seen the movie Inception, and you'll remember that they have a spinning top that they use as a reality check. If the spinning top keeps going and keeps spinning, then they are in a dream, and if it stops and drops due to gravity, then they are awake. Now, I don't recommend using a specific object or anything like that when it comes to reality checks, because we're not guaranteed to have specific objects. We're not guaranteed to have a spinning top with us every single dream we have, but we should have our hands, right? And so I love using our hands because they have specific detail, so you can observe the detail on your hands. You can recognize your hands, and also you can count your fingers as well. So there's several, and literally try to do the finger palm push technique as well. There's so many techniques that you can do for reality checks just with your hands alone. So I always recommend using your hands. And the reason why they work so well is because, after, creating the habit of looking at your hands, maybe counting your fingers throughout the day, like looking at the details on your hands, eventually you're going to start dreaming of doing this. And that's the whole point to any practice that we do regarding awareness and stuff like that in the waking state. It's so it shows up in your dreams. That's the whole point of asking yourself if you could be dreaming. How do you know you're awake? You're trying to get these questions to show up in your dreams so you can get lucid. And the reason why physical checks work so well is because you may be able to see all of the lines really clearly on your hands in waking life. You may be able to see 10 fingers crisp and clear, and anytime you look away and you look back at your hands, they don't change. That would be odd. That would definitely be a sign that you could be dreaming if that were to happen. And that's what we're looking for, because once your reality checks show up in your dreams, it's the dreaming environment that is different than physical reality. For example, the dream has a very hard time at what's called detailed pattern recognition, which means the dream can identify complex patterns, but it has a hard time repeating these complex patterns. This is why we try to read, for example, in the dream state, whether it's texting, whether we're trying to write something, whether we're trying to read something, and eventually kind of the words start to jumble up or they start to change in some way. So the dream has a hard time maintaining complex patterns. So we're basically using those to our advantage to confirm to the brain that we are in fact dreaming. So some of the techniques some of the reality checks I will use my hands for is I will look at the fine lines on my hands, I'll look away, and I'll look back. And again, it's because the dream has a hard time maintaining consistent, complex patterns. So your hands may look fine, during one reality check if it shows up in your dreams. But if you were to look away and look back, you're trying to catch the glitch in the dream pretty much, because the dream has a very hard time at replicating the same information perfectly. And if you build up enough awareness, you'll see that and you'll be like, oh, that shifted, or now I have an extra finger, or these aren't even my hands. This has to be a dream. So again, when we're asking questions, we also want to make sure we're asking the right questions. So some of my favorite questions to ask, and again, this is something you'll ask throughout the day, and you'll do it consistently until it builds a habit, and then you'll notice that you start doing it in your dream, which is the whole point of, why we do these things. So some great questions would be, well, how do I know I'm actually awake right now? And you don't want to just ask the question and not answer it. You really want to take time to answer it. So let's do this together right now. I want you to truly ask yourself, how do you know that you're awake right now? How do you know for sure that this is not a dream, that you're not dreaming of watching this live stream? How do you know that? As soon as you ask that question, you start thinking about it, you're going to become more aware, right? Oh, how do I know that? And all of a sudden, you're going to start to think more critically and ask yourself questions. Well, would this be a normal part of my reality? Is there anything actually dreamlike that is going on? It starts to take you out of autopilot, which is the whole point of this, because in a lot of our dreams we're operating on autopilot, right? Because we're like going along with what's happening in the dream, we're not really paying attention, and so we're learning to break that. We're learning to create a pattern interrupt in waking life so that that also influences our dreams. So I want to ask you, how do you actually know that you're awake right now? Is there, and make sure to answer it as well. That's like necessary, because I've had questions show up in my dreams, but I don't answer them. I'm like, hey, time to do a reality check. How do I know that I'm awake right now? And you're so used to going through the motions that you'll start to do that in your dreams. So really try to be as thorough as you can, because again, however you do things in waking life, that is how you're going to do it in the dream. So you almost want to model in waking life how you desire to show up in your dreams. So I'm just gonna ask the questions that I usually ask. How, and you can ask them as well and answer them with me, since we're doing a collective reality check together right now. How do I know that I'm awake right now? What is different about what I'm experiencing right now that isn't necessarily a part of my everyday? Do I know how I got here? Do I know what I was doing 10 minutes before this? Can I recall my entire day from this point backwards? Is there anything odd about what I'm experiencing? Is there anything that I see in my physical environment that reminds me of my dreams? You want to start to ask yourself specific questions that will really get you to think, how do I know? And then of course you want to tie that in with the physical, because your brain will try to, even in the dream state, you'll be like, could this be a dream? Your brain will be like, no, that's ridiculous. But if you do your reality checks, you're going to prove right there to the brain. Your brain's, it's going to obviously have a result of being in the dream. You're going to be able to push through your hand. You're going to have more fingers than normal. You're not going to be able to see the lines on your hands. And that's going to show your brain, oh, this is a dream. And that's the moment that you wake up, pretty much, within the dream state. Core Love says, what is the best method to program ourselves to assume something is true in the real world in order to manifest what we want due to the law of assumption? I love that you brought this up, Core, because that's actually what my entire class is on the 5th of this month. So it's on Thursday. We're covering the law of assumption techniques from Neville Goddard, Napoleon Hill, Joseph Murphy, Earl Nightingale, and how to actually it's a technique called reality transurfing. People also refer to it as reality shifting, and how we can embody the state of consciousness that is being played out in our ideal reality, how we can kind of collapse time and live from the state of consciousness where all of our desires and goals are taking place. And also how to tie in dream practices to that. So if that is something that does interest you, just shoot me an email. My email is in the About Me section at the bottom of all my videos. For the link, it's only $55 and you get lifetime access to the class along with the guide that goes, the written guide that goes along with that. So if you do want to, have more information on that, I just wanted to provide that to you because it's no coincidence that's what we're talking about this upcoming week. So you can absolutely use lucid dreaming to shift your reality, to reprogram your brain, to embody a new state of consciousness, and to live in the state that you wish to operate from instead of what's happening within the physical. So I love that you brought that up. So does anybody have questions on reality checks? Again, it's down to the awareness. We want to activate the awareness and the critical thinking and creating that consistent habit that's going to allow those things to kind of show up within our dreams. Hello, higher alignment. What's going on, Erin? How's it going? So please, guys, let me know if you have any questions about that. That's kind of how it works within the dream state as far as detailed pattern recognition and the differences between the dream states and physical reality. We want to basically capitalize on the differences and also become aware of the differences when we are implementing these specific techniques and practices. Yeah, I usually don't go live until 5 p.m., but I have stuff that's going on in a little bit, and I wanted to make sure I had time to chat with you guys. So we went live about an hour ago. Yeah, and if there's anybody who's like, what the heck? I thought that we go live at 5 every Monday. We usually do, but again, if there's any updates on the stream or anything, you'll be able to find that in my Telegram community chat. And the resources, all resources are in the description of my videos. For some reason, they don't always show up on the live videos, so maybe just like click on a regular video and everything should be there for you. No worries, Erin. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. I hope that you're well. How to get over the feeling of not being able to breathe / feeling of entity in the room and sleep paralysis. So when it comes to inducing sleep paralysis, we really have to become aware of the symptoms that we're going to experience, because if not, then the conscious mind can kind of wander off and create a lot of fearful assumptions about what's happening. So how sleep paralysis works, basically. Of course, we go into it when we're asleep, and we're in REM sleep. REM sleep stands for rapid eye movement, and again, we go into that every 90 minutes of sleep. The first throat's getting dry. Happens with my streams all the time. The first half of your sleeping cycle is primarily deep sleep, and the last half of our sleeping cycle is primarily REM sleep. So the last half of our sleeping cycle is when we go into sleep paralysis the most, because that's when we are dreaming the most. Regardless if we're awake or not, we go through the same symptoms as when we do it consciously. For example, our body temperature drops because we don't need to, our body temperature just drops when we sleep because we don't need, such a high temperature. Our oxygen, we also take in less oxygen when we're sleeping. So the body reserves a lot during sleep, and REM sleep as well, as far as REM sleep, as far as sleep paralysis is concerned. So some of the symptoms, like I was talking about, is your temperature will drop. You don't need as much oxygen, so you'll notice that it feels maybe like you're suffocating sometimes. You're not suffocating. This happens every single night. This is a natural part of your biology. There's nothing going wrong. The reason why you feel like you're suffocating is because you're becoming conscious of an unconscious process, something that happens unconsciously, whether you practice sleep paralysis consciously or not. This happens regardless if you're awake in REM every single night. And when the brain doesn't know what's happening, one of your brain's jobs is to keep you safe. So it's going to try to rationalize what is happening, and it's going to come up with so many solutions that make sense. And of course, if we feel like we're suffocating, the only thing that the conscious mind has it to relate to is that someone is suffocating you, right? When that's not true. It is the slight collapsing within your diaphragm, because you don't need to take in as much air, and because we're experiencing an unconscious process consciously. Our brain will, number one, we won't feel used to the symptoms, but also our brain will try to rationalize what's happening if we aren't educated on the symptoms. So my goal is to make sure that you guys know about what to expect when inducing sleep paralysis and when having these experiences, because when you start to become conscious of them, you're going to realize the phases that you go through. And there are phases for sleep paralysis as well. So the first thing that you'll probably experience during sleep paralysis is, well, first you're gonna start to feel kind of dreamy. And what I mean by that is when we, for example, lay down after a couple hours of sleep, or after a couple hours of wakefulness at least, and we guide ourselves into a relaxed state, we start to experience what's called hypnagogic imagery. This is also known as the liminal state. You may have heard people talk about liminal dreaming. They're referring to the hypnagogic state, what happens before we fall asleep, and the hypnopompic state, what happens as we're waking up. And this is when our subconscious mind is open. We may see dream scenes, we may see colors, flashes of light, get random ideas, and we pass through this state before we fall asleep. And sometimes we can become conscious of this state, even if we're not aware of it, before we go into sleep paralysis. So you may start seeing some colors, you know, flashes of light. You may just start seeing some sort of imagery as you're inducing sleep paralysis. The next thing that I've noticed that happens is you start to just become very, very relaxed. You might feel a slight heaviness all over your body, and the farther you get into sleep paralysis, the more intense the symptoms are going to be of this heaviness. Next, I've noticed that I start to feel a slight tingling. You'll start to notice like little differences start to kind of creep up. So one of the things is kind of slight tingling, or very, very light at first. So something upon that effect. Next, I would say, just walking myself through it, body disassociation. So you will start to kind of disassociate with your physical body. If you've ever been in like a, I keep wanting to say sleep deprivation every time I say that, I'm not sure why. Sensory deprivation tank, if you've ever been in a float tank, you're basically laying in 900 pounds of, water with 900 pounds of Epsom salt in it that is your exact body temperature. You have no light coming in, you have usually some sort of earplugs or something in, and you're floating on the water because of the high content of Epsom salt. So you're basically being deprived of your physical senses. What happens when we're deprived of our physical senses? Our conscious mind is not necessarily being locked in by these senses, if that makes sense. Once it doesn't have all of these, like this sensory overload to focus on regarding the physical sensations of the body, we can kind of shift our consciousness a lot easier to different things. Basically, the brain has no solidity as to what it's experiencing when it's deprived of our senses. If we're laying down in bed, we can feel that we're in bed, and the brain knows that we're in bed because we can feel it. But if you're in like a sensory deprivation tank, your brain starts to not know where you are, and this can cause spontaneous out-of-body experiences. People report many interesting things with sensory deprivation tanks, and it's because you have separated your consciousness from your physical body, because without all of your senses, your brain doesn't have anything to kind of hold on to. It doesn't have necessarily a reference point of where it is, and that's kind of what you'll experience within, inducing sleep paralysis in your bed. You'll start to feel a similar sensation. You know, you might feel like you're floating slightly. I'm sure you guys have had experiences where you feel like you're falling in bed and you kind of jolt awake. We're disassociating with our body as we're kind of falling asleep, because part of the brain is turning off and the subconscious mind is kind of waking up a little bit. So you can also induce this as well. If you're inducing sleep paralysis, you can imagine that you're floating, you can imagine that you're on a boat, you can imagine you're in a hammock, you can imagine that you're walking around your kitchen. Pretty much you're disassociating your consciousness from the physical body, which will allow you to expand your consciousness to different areas. Like, for example, an out-of-body experience that I love to do is I will be in bed. Once I really start to feel a lot of the symptoms come on, I will imagine that I'm floating, or that I'm rocking in a hammock, or that I'm laying down on my couch, and for a split second, your brain doesn't actually know where you are. It doesn't know where your physical body is because it can't really feel it. And so that's one way we can induce an out-of-body experience, is creating a visualization of something else that's so real that your brain thinks that's more real than where you actually are. But anyways, that's kind of something that you can explore in inducing sleep paralysis. After a while, once you really start to disassociate with your physical body, you may start to feel uncomfortable. Now, this is called the rollover signal. This is basically your brain checking if you're, or your body checking if you're actually awake or not, because this is going to determine when you go into sleep paralysis. If your body thinks that you're awake, it's not going to put you into sleep paralysis. It's its job to support you wherever you're at, right? So when you get the rollover signal, you will start to feel certain sensations. You will start to have itches. You will start to feel uncomfortable. You'll start to want to roll over. You'll have random urges to like move your arm or like pop your neck, like whatever. You just feel uncomfortable. and it's not real discomfort. Your body is trying to probe you to move. It's trying to get you to respond to the signals you're experiencing, because that will tell your body that you're awake, and it will know not to induce sleep paralysis, right? But if you can trick the body into thinking that you are asleep and you can power through the urges and the itches and just the discomfort for a little bit and just stay still, you'll pretty much want to pretend like you're asleep. Like if someone walked in the room and you're pretending to be asleep, you're pretty much doing that to your body. After between, a couple minutes to maybe 10, 15-ish, depending on the person, that state will pass. You'll start to finally feel relief. Sometimes it's really intense. I had a really intense itch right above my lip. It took every ounce of strength in my body not to itch. And the times where I did reach up to itch because it was just too much, I'm like, I can't. The discomfort went away right as I moved, because it's like, oh, it was just a test, not a real itch or whatever. Thanks for letting me know that you're awake. and you'll realize shortly after you move or you go to itch that it wasn't actually a real urge. So you'll pass through that state eventually. And the more you do this, I noticed the less I experienced that. Like when I first started inducing this, it was really, really intense. Oh, I felt like the rollover signal literally lasted probably 15 minutes. I don't know. It felt like a lot longer than it was. But I've noticed the more that I do this, the less it seems to bother me. And maybe that's also me just kind of building up my mind power, because one way that I kind of trained myself to be able to handle the rollover signal was anytime I was in meditation or something and I had an actual itch, I would purposefully ignore it just so I could build up the power of my mind so I didn't have to give in to these physical sensations. So if you want to practice the rollover signal, just be in meditation, or anytime you feel an itch, see how long you can go without itching it and see if you can actually get it to go away without even touching it. And that's kind of a way that I kind of trained my mind to power through the rollover signal. So yeah, I would definitely recommend trying that. So the next time you get a really intense itch or something, I would just kind of get still and see if you can shift your mind away from the itch and see if you can actually get it to go away without touching it. That's the main way that I taught myself to not give in so easily to the rollover signal. Yeah, and see, now that you kind of know the phases of it, it's easier to kind of track. It's like, oh, now I'm in this phase. Okay, I just gotta wait this amount of time or do this. Okay, now this is happening. It's like you have the knowledge of the phases that you're going through, and it makes it a lot easier to work with it, especially when you know there's no one in your room. I know a lot of people, there's been definitely a handful of people who have fought me on this over the years on my channel, that I don't understand, that there's demons possessing them when they're in sleep paralysis, and I'm sorry, but there isn't. The reason why we go to that place is because it's a thought responsive place, just like a lucid dream or an out-of-body experience. Sleep paralysis is thought responsive. So if it's responding to our thoughts and our brain doesn't know what's happening and it's trying to rationalize the experience and think about the most probable thing that's actually happening, and it's fear-based, then you're creating a fear-based experience because you're operating from that thought process and also feeling fear. It's just like a lucid dream. If you see like a alleyway or something in your lucid dream, you're like, oh, something bad's gonna happen. Like, it creates itself because you are the creator of your experience as you're moving through the experience of the dream. The dream is responding to your thoughts, to your expectations, to your beliefs about what's going to happen. This is also why some people can fly and some people can't fly. Some people know that the lucid dream state is limitless and they can get up and truly fly whenever they want to. Other people carry their waking limitations into the dream world. They're not used to having the ability to fly. They're not used to having the ability to walk through walls. And so they have to work through those beliefs, because whatever is happening in here, that's going to project in your physical environment. So even with sleep paralysis, it's responding to your thoughts, but also you're half dreaming. When you're in sleep paralysis, your conscious mind is slightly awake, but you're also half dreaming, which means we can dream in our physical environment, and it responds to our thoughts, our beliefs, and our emotional state of what we believe is happening. And if you ever have a scary experience of sleep paralysis, just play around and see how the experience changes if you think about something really funny, or you think about something you're super grateful for, or like just play around with your emotional state. If you're going to try to control anything in these states, it should be your mind. It should be your mind and your emotional state. You shouldn't try so hard to control the external reality, because it's based on what's happening in your internal reality. That's what's creating the experience. So if you're going to try to control anything in these states, it should be your emotional state and your focus, what you're focusing on, where your mind is. So this should be relieving to some. It will probably upset some, but it's just how it is. You are not being possessed. There is no one in your house. No one is suffocating you. And you can change the experience just like that if you actually know what's happening. But if you are ever in an experience where you're in sleep paralysis and you maybe you are, you know, a little freaked out and you just want it to end, or maybe you're just tired and you want to go to bed, you can actually stop it. So this is a way that you can stop sleep paralysis pretty immediately, actually, because I know some people struggle with this, so I just wanted to throw this out there. So the only thing that is not paralyzed during sleep paralysis is your eyes and your respiratory system, right? You're still able to breathe in sleep paralysis, and some people can slightly open their eyes in sleep paralysis. And again, if you're scared very easily, I probably wouldn't recommend opening your eyes, even though you're fine either way. But if you are someone who's very sensitive to what you may experience, or you get freaked out easily, like, oh, by the way, have you ever, like, when you were little or something, seen just like a coat on the chair or something, and then like the shadow of it looks like an actual person or something in your room, and it like really freaks you out? The sleep paralysis, that state kind of works the same. Like, I sometimes put my robe on the door, and sometimes when I wake up, it literally looks like this like hooded figure just standing in the doorway, like a really tall hooded figure. And you may see those kind of switches in perception in sleep paralysis. It's not that there's actually somebody there, but because you're half dreaming, your brain is using what's in your physical environment to make out something else because you're half dreaming. So if you are sensitive, then maybe don't open your eyes. But if you are like me, who just are very interested with the experience and kind of think it's fun to play around with it, then go for it. But how to stop sleep paralysis immediately, just in case you need it, or you suffer from sleep paralysis a lot and you want to be able to work on that. So again, the only thing that is not paralyzed during sleep paralysis is your eyes and your respiratory system. If you want to stop sleep paralysis immediately, you want to make a prolonged S sound, like a hissing sound. And you'll notice when you do this, can you feel your belly contracting? You'll feel your diaphragm, your belly, start to go in towards your spine. You'll start to feel that movement. That will be enough to tell your body, hey, I'm awake. Hey, wake me up, I'm actually awake. A lot of people sit there trying to like scream and they can't move, and they're trying to move their arms around. But all you need to do is use your respiratory system. And since you can't really move your mouth, you can still make a hissing noise, right? And so that's a way to kind of stop sleep paralysis immediately if you want to. But if you just want to change the experience, then I would work on the emotional state, because that's where the experience gets its information. Just like with an out-of-body experience or a lucid dream, how we're feeling, what we're believing, and what we're thinking, that is the fuel for the experience. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Okay, let's see. Practice hypnagogic imagery, and hypnopompic mindfulness and creating liminal dreams. So we kind of went through sleep paralysis. I'm going through kind of a list of the practices that I recommend for dreaming and lucid dreaming, just in case there's anyone tuning in. Oh yeah, John, you also bought the intro to dreaming, is that right? I believe you did. If so, I sent you an email for all of the Dreams of classes, since that was the offer that we talked about. So I don't know if you got back to me. I don't think so. Oh, you did? I'll have to look. I didn't see your email, but I just wanted to let you know, so I can get you enrolled in those classes. The next one happens Thursday, so I just wanted to make sure that you got the email for that. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no worries at all. Let's see. So when it comes to hypnagogic and hypnopompic mindfulness, really all you're doing is you're learning to stay in the half awake, half asleep state for a prolonged amount of time. But the cool thing is you don't have to be in REM or anything to do this. You can literally be where you are right now and you can practice this. Pretty much it's almost like being in a specific brainwave type state. So like alpha or even theta, you're awake, but you're relaxed. And that's really all that you need to be able to induce hypnagogic imagery or hypnopompic imagery, because all it takes is relaxation and conscious awareness. So if you're in the passenger seat of a vehicle, maybe you're on a plane, maybe you're just like listening to an audiobook on your couch and want to close your eyes. That's what I do. You will start to see that color moving. You'll start to see flashes of light, and all you want to do is see how long you can stay within that state. And you'll start to get random ideas, have these revelations, you'll have memories that you didn't remember come up. You'll get I get a lot of creative inspiration from that state. But it's also training for inducing sleep paralysis consciously, as well as inducing lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences, because part of it is staying conscious within the unconscious. So if you can practice this skill, then that will definitely help you with these other experiences. So I'm going to kind of run through these kind of quick, just because I had a checklist of things I wanted to cover for you guys, but I don't want to take up a ton of your time. Don't eat heavy meals at least 2 hours before bedtime. If you are eating meals right before you go to bed, that takes a lot of energy to be able to do. A lot of your energy will go towards actually digesting the meal, and it can actually take away from your dreams and your ability to get lucid. So I try to eat, if I'm going to eat, which I love food, so I do sometimes eat at night, I'll try to eat something, light. And then, of course, I always have my hot tea before bed, and you just want to make sure that you have as clear of a system as possible when you go to bed. And that will also make it more comfortable to sleep as well. The next thing I have is try to go to bed and wake up around the same times every single day and night. You can go to bed early to increase your dream vividness and recall. The more you sleep, the more you will dream. So this is where the consistency comes in. You kind of, if you care about targeting specific REM stages, this is something that you may want to implement, because if our dreams or our sleep schedule is everywhere, that means our dream schedule is going to be everywhere. But we do go into REM around the same times every single night, so it will be easier for you to track if you have, around about bedtime and when you wake up. And then also looking at your dream journal entries. Is there a time where I consistently wake up where I am remembering my dreams? So that will just kind of help you target your REM stages and also get better sleep as well. Okay. Is not being able to speak in a lucid dream normal? So that comes down to what's called dual body awareness. So sometimes we may feel vibrations in the dream, sometimes we can't move, and sometimes we can't speak. And that's because we're also in tune with our physical, what's happening with the physical body. And because we're in sleep paralysis when we are lucid, or when we're dreaming, sometimes we can feel that sleep paralysis within the dream. This definitely has happened to me. So if you have those dreams where you feel weak, or you can't really move, or you can't talk, or you feel like tingling or vibrations, it's actually because you're conscious of the sleep paralysis happening to your physical body and your dream body as well. No worries, Greg. Thanks for stopping by. The next thing is try meditating before bed or as you're drifting off to sleep. This creates more awareness. This also boosts your melatonin production, and it also creates a sense of, awareness and mindfulness that we can carry into sleep. Intend to recall your dreams and think about it as you fall asleep. And if you already have great dream recall, then you can focus on the dream you want to have. You can focus on manifestation work, like I talked to you guys about. I am currently in Utah, but every time I fall asleep in consciousness, I sleep in Washington. So we've talked about that a little bit. That's a practice I do all the time. So really, whatever your intention is, you want to take the time before bed to do that. Use the last hour or two of wakefulness to be focused on relaxation and or mindfulness. Again, how you fall asleep is also going to determine the quality of your sleep. I definitely recommend having, you know, two hours or so to have tea, read a book, do some yoga, read through your dream journal, do your dream planning, go on a walk, you know, do some breath work. All of that is great before sleep. So treat yourself for the, you know, the last 2 hours of wakefulness. Give something back to yourself. You know, the more relaxed you can go to bed, and the more stress-free you can go to bed, you're going to have a lot more fun in your dreams anyway. How we're feeling internally also shows up in our dreams. So if you have had some stressful dreams lately, maybe you need to de-stress and wake in life as well. Again, they're so connected. They are not separate. People think, oh, there's the dream state, here's this. No, they're extremely interconnected. What's happening in your dreams is also kind of showing us what's in our subconscious mind. And if we want to change what happens in the dream, we change what we're doing in waking life. We can also get information from the dreams that regards our waking life. I mean, these practices are literally the same. These states of consciousness are one and the same, and I truly believe that. Let's see. Don't smoke cannabis. If you do, maybe try not to smoke it too close before bed. But if you are a consistent cannabis smoker, you will notice your dream recall go down. Cannabis does suppress REM sleep, which means we go into deeper sleep when we smoke cannabis. Same with alcohol. You'll go into a lot deeper sleep with alcohol and cannabis, and so you may notice that you don't get as much REM sleep. So just be aware of that. I know a lot of people have struggled with that, but if you do stop smoking cannabis or stop drinking, you know, as much alcohol, you will notice something called REM rebound, which is all of the dreaming sleep that you missed out on, you get back all at once. So like probably the week you stop smoking, or maybe like the week after, you'll notice your dreams will get more vivid. You'll probably have more awareness in your dreams, and they'll feel more lifelike. And that is due to REM rebound. So if you're a smoker or a drinker, it can still work. Don't worry. The next thing with REM suppression is to research medications you are using to see if they suppress REM dreaming sleep. I know some people have medications that they don't think is a problem. I would at least look up the name of your medication and see if it's suppressing REM sleep. I was very pleased to know that when I was having some like back pain a while ago, and I was given like muscle relaxers, and I would just take them every once in a while. I looked it up to see the effects it had on REM sleep, and it creates bizarre and vivid dreams. And I was like, yeah, yes. That was great. Eat foods high in tryptophan. The body turns tryptophan into natural melatonin, so you can just look up tryptophan high foods. This is something that you want to do, especially if you don't want to take melatonin supplements. Frequently ask yourself if you could be dreaming and how you know for sure. I hope you guys really do that, and we went on a whole spiel about that earlier. Practice decoding and interpreting the symbolism in your dreams. Again, the more you notice your dreams and pay attention to them, the more symbolic and vivid they will become. So every single dream has symbolism in it for you. Everything that shows up in your dream, I believe, has some sort of purpose. And I also do have kind of a method to decoding dreams. If you are in the Dreams of Symbolism class, you will have that guide on how to decode your dreams. And if not, then you can just look at the symbol showing up in your dreams. How does this relate to me? How do I perceive or see this? What is the meaning that I have for this specific object? And what is also the overlying emotion within the dream state? And you can kind of piece together some of the symbolism from there. Try different lucid dreaming induction techniques at different times to experiment. Again, it's all about playing. It's all about experimenting. You are a scientist, figuring out your recipe. You are a scientist chef, experimenting and figuring out an efficient recipe for your practice. So that is that. Practice inducing sleep paralysis, like we talked about, in REM consciously. And sorry, I'm reading from my notes that I have for you guys, if you guys are wondering. Again, we just talked about how to induce sleep paralysis, some of the symptoms you'll experience during sleep paralysis, and how to get out of sleep paralysis, and also the states of consciousness you can use to enhance your ability to stay in sleep paralysis consciously, or to induce it, and that's through liminal dreaming, hypnagogic and hypnopompic imagery. I did not cut my hair. My hair is past my thighs, but the only way to keep it like out of my face is to either braid it or to have it up. And because I can't just do the little messy buns that a lot of girls do because I have such long hair, I literally have to like twist my hair and like wrap it around and put a clip in it. So when we started this live, I was like, please ignore my cinnamon roll is my cinnamon roll bun. It's just one of those days. So yeah, I did not cut my hair though. We also talked about having a dream planning / lucid dreaming planning journal that you can use to actively plan out your dreams. Very important. We talked about how to do that at the beginning of this live stream. And take in content about dreams to saturate your mind with information. So watch YouTube videos on lucid dreaming, take classes on lucid dreaming, read books on lucid dreaming, anything to encourage you. Again, it's down to your emotional state, and really get clear on your why as well, because your why is going to be the foundation behind your practice. If you ever fall off your practice, or it's going to be what encourages you to keep going. My current why is to visit my grandmother who passed away within the lucid dream state and out-of-body state, and so that's one thing that's definitely fueling my practice. So you want to have a strong why that you're emotionally connected to, because that's going to help you stay consistent with some area of your practice. Looks like a cinnamon bun. Yeah, yep, it is. I've been someone has said that a couple times, so I just call it my cinnamon roll now, or cinnamon bun. Got a question? What's the best mantra to provoke astral projection before going to bed, or what's the best way for you to make one? I always shift my perception, so like I'll be in bed and I'll imagine maybe I'm laying on the couch or something, and I do that until it starts to feel extremely real. It depends where your blocks are, but some of the best mantras that I have found is affirming that I'm already out of my body, or saying like I am more than my physical body, because some people believe that they are their body or they can't project. So it really depends on your belief system with what mantra you should use. I'm also actually creating an I am affirmation video for lucid dreaming, and then one for out-of-body experiences. And it's not going to be a subliminal track. I'm gonna have it be audible so you have lots of mantras for lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences. I'm actually editing it right now, so we will have those soon. That way, if you guys need more ideas for mantras or something, then you will have those. Do we leave our body when we sleep? If by we you mean aspects of our awareness and consciousness, then yes, I definitely believe so. Oh, Eric, that sounds so good. What the heck? Oh my gosh. What about deja vu? So I believe, well, quantum physics has showed us that every possible outcome is being played out in another reality, and we can shift realities just by shifting our consciousness, shifting our state, our different states of consciousness, or like different rooms. So I believe that when we have deja vu, it's something that we've experienced before, but in kind of a shifted reality. Again, leaving a reality it's not going to look completely different. You're not going to be in a whole different reality, right? But there's going to be slight differences. It's almost like Inception or something. There's slight differences to different realities, and those realities, even though they might look similar, they hold different outcomes and stuff. And so I believe that we're just kind of shifting our consciousness. Like I've had deja vu where it's like actively happening and I can predict what's going to happen next. Have you ever done that? It's not such a short deja vu where like it was over before you realized it, but it's like, wait, I remember this. Wait, yeah, and then this happened, and it actually happens like right in that moment. It's so crazy. That's happened a few times, so that's kind of what I believe. Yeah, totally, an alternate reality. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. So guys, I love you so much. I hope that this checklist served you in some way. I hope that it kind of helps you kind of look at maybe what you're already doing, what you could implement. And again, this can be used really for lucid dreaming or out-of-body experiences, even though, as you can see, it's more catered to dreaming and lucid dreaming. I tried to answer as many questions as I could. Again, we're live every single Monday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, usually. But if there's any updates, I'll just post them in the Telegram chat for you guys. Of course, thank you. Again, the class for manifestation and reality shifting and dream work is on May 5th. So if you have questions about that, it's just $55. You can just send me an email, or I did post it on my Facebook as well, in my group, in the community tab of my YouTube channel, and on Instagram. So you have the information at those places. You can message me anywhere. Sweet John, yeah, I know you're gonna be there. I'm so excited. And then yeah, if you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. Check out the sleep music channel. A lot of people have came to my channel for sleep music specifically. I made a whole other YouTube channel for it. I'll be posting tracks here about once a week just to kind of show you what's on that channel. But if you're wanting consistent sleep music tracks, that's the place to be. Again, it's just called the Lucid Mystic Sleep Channel, so you should be able to find it. Oh, Eric, I thought you said disappointing once again. Oh my god, I was like, damn, I thought it was pretty good. Okay, love you guys so much. I'll see you next Monday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. As always, I'm sending you guys endless love. Oh, really, TJ? I love that. Well, welcome to the Dream Fam. And as always, guys, I'm sending you endless love and endless lucidity. Bye, guys.